Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Devai, Guru Devai, Guru Devai, Jaya Guru Devai. Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Statar Satashi Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kala Chanji Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Shri Panihati Chedadai Mahamahotsava Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, I don't know. Usually someone sets it up. I don't know how it's supposed to go. Like that? I don't know if it's even in the spot where the video is. Whatever. Somebody will complain if not. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Gora Premanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya All together. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashtapraeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Jai. So welcome everyone to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We'll be doing Canto 4, Chapter 25, The Characteristics of King Paranjana, text 25 to 44. So we'll go through and read all the translations, and then we'll come back to 25, which is our focus verse. So I'll read the first one, text 25. Paranjana, the hero, became attracted by the eyebrows and smiling face of the very beautiful girl, and was immediately pierced by the arrows of her lusty desires. When she smiled shyly, She looked very beautiful to Puranjana, who, although a hero, could not refrain from addressing her. Yeah, so yesterday Puranjana was out wandering through the forests and the area, and he came across this very beautiful woman, and she was described in yesterday's verses, all the beautiful characteristics of her form. So Puranjana became attracted, and although he was a hero, he still could not restrain himself from talking to her. Okay, so let's go ahead with, who's got the mic? Is there a mic? Okay, I'll just keep reading for the time being, just to save time. Text 26. My dear lotus-eyed, so this is Puranjana addressing this woman. My dear lotus-eyed, kindly explain to me where you are coming from, who you are, and whose daughter you are. You appear very chaste. What is the purpose of your coming here? What are you trying to do? Please explain all these things to me. Okay, text 27, Antari.
My dear lotus-eyed, who are those 11 strong bodyguards with you? And who are those 10 specific servants? Who are those women following the 10 servants? And who's the snake that is preceding you? My dear beautiful girl, you are exactly like the goddess of fortune, or the wife of Lord Shiva, or the goddess of learning, the wife of Lord Brahma. Although you must be one of them, I see that you are loitering in this forest. Indeed, you are as silent as the great sages. Is it that you are searching after your own husband? Whoever your husband may be, simply by understanding that you are so faithful to him, he will come to possess all opulences. I think you must be the goddess of fortune, but I do not see the lotus flower in your hand. Therefore, I am asking you, where you have thrown that lotus.
Okay, go ahead, do the next 2 or 3.
Oh, greatly fortunate one. It appears that you are none of the women I have mentioned, because I see that your feet are touching the ground. But if you are some woman of this planet, you can, like the goddess of fortune, who accompanied by Lord Vishnu increases the beauty of the Vaikuntha planets, also increase the beauty of this city by associating with me. You should understand that I am a great hero and a very powerful king on this planet.
So you can see here he's flattering her.
He's pretty good.
He's really pouring it on. Okay, go ahead.
Certainly your glancing upon me today has very much agitated my mind. Your smile, which is full of shyness, but at the same time lusty, is agitating the most powerful Cupid within me. Therefore, O most beautiful, I ask you to be merciful upon me.
All right, and he's also very assertive. He's not being shy about his feelings. Okay. Go ahead.
My dear girl, your face is so beautiful, with your nice eyebrows and eyes with your bluish hair scattered about. In addition, very sweet sounds are coming from your mouth. Nonetheless, you are so covered with shyness that you do not see me face to face. I therefore request you, my dear girl, to smile and kindly raise your head to see me.
So you see in the Bhagavatam, there's everything. There's all kinds of, there's violence, there's romance, there's mystery, there's drama. So here, this is a very romantic section of the Bhagavatam. Okay, go ahead, Dustin.
3 verses?
Yeah.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Narada continued, my dear king, when Puranjana became so attracted and impatient to touch the girl and enjoy her, the girl also became attracted by his words and accepted his request by smiling. At this time she was certainly attracted by the king. The girl said, O best of human beings, I do not know who has begotten me. I cannot speak to you perfectly about this, nor do I know the names or the origins of the associates with me. O great hero, we only know that we are existing in this place. We do not know what will come after. Indeed, we are so foolish that we do not care to understand who has created this beautiful place for our residence.
My dear gentle
35.
Dear gentlemen, all these men and women with me are known as my friends, and the snake who always remains awake protects the city even during sleeping hours, my sleeping hours. So much I know. I do not know anything beyond this. O killer of enemies, you have of the enemy, you have somehow or other come here. This is certainly great fortune for me. I wish all auspicious things for you. You have a great desire to satisfy your senses, and all my friends and all my friends and I shall try our best in all respects to fulfill your desires.
So she's agreeable. They've expressed their feelings to each other and they've mutually agreed here. Right?
My dear Lord, I have just arranged this city of 9 gates for you so that you can have all kinds of sense gratification. You may live here for 100 years and everything for your sense gratification will be supplied. How can I expect to unite with others who are neither conversant about sex nor capable of knowing how to enjoy life while living or after death? Such foolish persons are like animals because they do not know the process of sense enjoyment in this life and after death.
Text 39. The woman continued, in this material world, a householder's life brings all kinds of happiness in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and the begetting of children, sons, and grandsons. After that, one may desire liberation as well as material reputation. The householder can appreciate the results of sacrifices which enable him to gain promotion to superior planetary systems. All this material happiness is practically unknown to the transcendentalists. They cannot even imagine such happiness. Text 40. The woman continued, according to authorities, the householder life is pleasing not only to oneself, but to all the forefathers, demigods, great sages, saintly persons, and everyone else. A householder life is thus beneficial.
So we see here she's encouraging him by singing the glories of the Grihastha ashram, the married life, that these renunciants and transcendentalists, they have no idea, how to enjoy life. And it's only in householder life that you can really fulfill all of your desires and find happiness. Okay?
Oh, my dear hero, who in this world will not accept a husband like you? You are so famous, so magnanimous, so beautiful, and so easily gotten. O mighty armed, who in this world will not be attracted by your arms, which are just like the bodies of serpents? Actually, you relieve the distress of husbandless women like us by your attractive smile and aggressive mercy. We think that you are traveling on the surface of the earth just to benefit us only.
These two really fell for each other. Okay, the last 2 verses.
The great sage Narada continued, my dear king, those two, the man and the woman, supporting one another through mutual understanding, entered that city and enjoyed life for 100 years. Many professional singers used to sing about the glories of King Puranjana and his glorious activities. When it was too hot in the summer, he used to enter a reservoir of water. He would surround himself with many women and enjoy their company.
All right, thank you. So Puranjana and this woman who came to be known as Puranjani, I think. Yeah. They got married. That's what Prabhupada explains when it says they supported one another through mutual understanding, entered that city and enjoyed life. Prabhupada says that they married, and then you can see by the next verse, it gives some indication of how Puranjana was just very much into sense enjoyment. in his married life. And it says many women, it was typical for kings to have, a wife, and then other women would be around the palace that would also give pleasure to the king in various ways. So let's go back to text 25. And also we have to remember that this narration is an allegory. So King Puranjana was not a real person. And you see there's some interesting features here about the woman that she's following along with. She has 10 servants. Those represent her senses, the 5 working senses and the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses. And then each of those servants has hundreds of wives, which are all of their desires for sense activities. And there's a 5-headed serpent who's guarding her, and that's her vital force, which consists of the 5 life airs. So these things will all be explained in more detail later, but it's just important to remember that this is an allegory, so it's meant to teach who? Who's being instructed here by Narada Muni? King Prachinabarhishat, yeah. So this is all for his instruction, because King Prachinabarhishat is not in a position to actually be directly instructed. So Narada Muni can't say, this is what your life is, it's a mess, you've really just gone the wrong way and you need to change. So he's telling the story of this person who's like King Puranjana in many ways. He's a king who's involved in sense gratification, performing karma kanda for material desires, and then he's going to show what happens, what are the consequences of such activities, so that King Prachinabarhishat is like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me, and this king is kind of like me, and I need to change my life to avoid those consequences. So it's like that. Okay, so text 25. Please repeat. Tamaha lalitam vira savridas smita shobhanam snigdena pangapunkena sprishta premod brahmad bruvat Tamaha lalitam vira Savrida smita shobhanam Snigdena pangapunkena Sprishta premod brahman bhuva. Please chant. Tamaham lalitam vira Savrida smita shobhanam Snigdena pangapunkena Sprishta premod brahmad bhuva. Tamaha lalitam vira Savrida smita shobhanam Snigdena pangapunkena Sprishta premod brahmad bhuva. Okay, let's just go into the word for word. All together. Tam, unto her. Aha, addressed. Lalitam, very gently. Vira, the hero. Savrida, with shyness. Smita, smiling. Shubhanam, very beautiful. Snigdena, by sex desire. Apangapunkena, by the arrow of glancing. Sprishta, thus perceived. Thus pierced. Prema udbramat, exciting love. Bhuva, by the eyebrows. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Puranjana, the hero, became attracted by the eyebrows and smiling face of the very beautiful girl and was immediately pierced by the arrows of her lusty desires. When she smiled shyly, she looked very beautiful to Puranjana, who, although a hero, could not refrain from addressing her. So from this last part of the translation, we get it's implied that he should have refrained from addressing her, right? If he was a real hero, he would have refrained from addressing her, and he would have just, been respectfully, what's the word? Respectfully detached or aloof and just left her alone. But because he was a hero in some ways, but not in others, he basically approached her and came onto her, as we heard described. So this is what Prabhupada is going to emphasize in the purport, is that what does it mean to be a hero? Okay, so purport. Every living entity is a hero in two ways. When he is a victim of the illusory energy, he works as a great hero in the material world, as a great leader, politician, businessman, industrialist, etc. And his heroic activities contribute to the material advancement of civilization. One can also become a hero by being master of the senses, a Goswami. Material activities are false heroic activities, whereas restraining the senses from material engagements is real heroism. However great a hero may be in the material world, he can be immediately conquered by the lumps of flesh and blood known as the breasts of women. In the history of material activities, there are many examples, like the Roman hero Antony, who became captivated by the beauty of Cleopatra. Similarly, a great hero in India named Baji Rao became a victim of a woman during the time of Maharashtrian politics, and he was defeated. From history, we understand that formerly politicians used to employ beautiful girls who were trained as Visha Kanya. These girls had poison injected into their bodies from the beginning of their lives, so that in due course of time they would become so immune to the poison and so poisonous themselves that simply by kissing a person they could kill him. These poisonous girls were engaged to see an enemy and kill him with a kiss. Thus, there are many instances in human history of heroes who have been curbed simply by women. Being part and parcel of Krishna, the living entity is certainly a great hero, but due to his own weakness, he becomes attracted to the material features. Krishna bahirmukha hana boga vancha kare nikatasta mayatare japati adare. It is said in the Prema Vivarta that when a living entity wants to enjoy material nature, he is immediately victimized by the material energy. A living entity is not forced to come into the material world. He makes his own choice, being attracted by beautiful women. Every living entity has the freedom to be attracted by material nature or to stand as a hero and resist that attraction. It is simply a question of the living entities being attracted or not being attracted. There is no question of his being forced to come into contact with the material energy. One who can keep himself steady and resist the attraction of material nature is certainly a hero and deserves to be called a Goswami. Unless one is master of the senses, he cannot become a Goswami. The living entity can take one of two positions in this world. He may become a servant of his senses, or he may become a master of them. By becoming a servant of the senses, one becomes a great material hero, and by becoming master of the senses, he becomes a Goswami, or a spiritual hero. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militandena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai. So, it's interesting here, the first line of the purport, or let's say the second line of the purport, Prabhupada says, when he is a victim of the illusory energy, he works as a great hero in the material world. So it's just interesting that the word victim and hero are in the same sentence describing the same person. Because usually we think that somebody is either a hero or they're a victim, right? A hero is someone who comes in and saves the victim, right? The damsel in distress or the underdog who's being, abused and mistreated. Then the hero, who's not a victim, who's in control of himself and he's a powerful person, he comes and saves the day. But what Prabhupada is saying here is that the so-called hero in the material world is actually a victim. He only thinks he's a hero. And that's what Prabhupada says in a few sentences down. Material activities are false heroic activities. So even though someone may become a great leader in this world, a politician, a businessman, an industrialist, very wealthy and famous, they're not actually a hero, although others may see them that way. Someone who's a celebrity or a millionaire, People may see, wow, what a successful life they had. But this is false success. It's not the real success of life. Because they missed the point. They didn't understand the goal of life. And so they pursued some false goal. And they may have been, successful in achieving a false goal. But what's the value of a false goal? We need to achieve the real goal of life. We need to know what is the real goal of life and how to be really successful in achieving the actual goal. So that's what Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us, is don't pursue the false happiness. No, we need to know the real purpose of human life, the real goal, and become real heroes. So the real hero is one who can conquer over the material energy. And actually there's a verse in please go to 11:19:36. There's a nice section of Bhagavatam where Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, and he gives a lot of definitions about things like real knowledge is this, real truth is this, real beauty is this. And he also says real heroism is this. So let's hear Krishna's own definition in which he personally speaks about real heroism. So would someone like to read this? It's actually 3 verses combined, 36 to 39. You can read the whole thing. Go ahead.
Absorbing the intelligence in me constitutes mental equilibrium, and complete discipline of the senses is self-control. Tolerance means patiently enduring unhappiness, and steadfastness occurs when one conquers the tongue and genitals. The greatest charity is to give up all aggression towards others, and renunciation of lust is understood to be real austerity. Real heroism is to conquer one's natural tendency to enjoy material life, and reality is seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere. Truthfulness means to speak the truth in a pleasing way, as declared by great sages. Cleanliness is detachment and fruitive activities, whereas renunciation is the sannyas order of life. The true desirable wealth for human beings is religiousness, and I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, am sacrifice. Religious remuneration is devotion to the acharya with the purpose of acquiring spiritual instruction, and the greatest strength is the pranayama system of breath control.
All right, go back and read real heroism again.
Real heroism is to conquer one's natural tendency to enjoy material life.
All right, so we have this natural tendency to enjoy material life. Actually, this is talked about also in the 11th. Go to 11:21-24, where Krishna, it's still the same conversation. This is a long conversation that Krishna has with Uddhava, the Uddhava Gita, and he talks about this natural tendency to enjoy material life. You got it there? Okay, someone else, please. Antari? Yeah.
Simply by material birth, human beings become attached within their minds to personal sense gratification, long duration of life, sense activities, bodily strength, sexual potency, in friends and family. Their minds are thus absorbed in that which defeats their actual self-interest.
Yeah, so simply by human birth, or simply by, simply by birth, simply by material birth. So simply by birth in this material world, we get attached to all of these things which actually are the cause of our defeat. So it's very counterproductive, it's very foolish, that we get attached to the things that destroy us. And we actually think that these things are for our benefit. We actually think that, personal sense gratification is a good thing. Living a long duration of life, we need to extend our duration of life as long as we can. Ideally become immortal, live forever in this material world. To have a great bodily strength, to become muscular and physically powerful, to have great sexual potency, and have lots of friends and family members surrounding us. We think that these are, assets, that these are strengths and pleasures of life. But actually, Krishna is saying that these are the very things that bring about our defeat, that defeat our real self-interest, because they're contrary to the real goal of life. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying the same thing in the purport, that due to weakness, we become attracted to material features, the weakness that comes by material birth. Because as soon as we take birth in the material world, then we become influenced by the material energy. And Prabhupada makes the point here that this is our own choice. Nobody forced us into the material world. But we make our own choice, being attracted to the idea of enjoying material sense gratification and enjoying ourselves separately from Krishna. We come here. And so having come here, we chose to come here, but we always, in every situation, we have free will. Jai Shishi Radhikalachandji. In every situation, we have our free will. So by our free will, misuse of our free will, we came to this material world. And having come to this material world, we have all these attachments to things that are not good for us. But even in this difficult situation of being surrounded by and actually attached to things that are not good for us, we still have the power to choose. We still have the free will to choose to not become servants of the senses, to choose to not pursue material sense enjoyment. So at any moment we can decide. That's what Prabhupada says, that the living entity can take one of two positions. He may become the servant of his senses, or he may become the master of them. So we can just choose that I am going to become the master of my senses. I am not going to allow myself to be dragged around by my senses and my materialistic mind anymore. I'm done with serving my senses. There's one great acharya that says, so many lifetimes I've been serving my senses. I've been such a devoted, loyal servant of my senses. But these senses are not very good masters, because even though I've served them loyally and faithfully and, with all of my heart, they never appreciate my service. They're never satisfied with my service. They're always just squeezing me for something more. So becoming a servant of the senses is just a life of frustration, because the senses are never satisfied. The more we give them, the more they want. So instead of becoming we should become the master of the senses by serving the master of the senses. Right? Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhaktir Uchite. That's part of Rupa Goswami's definition, or Rupa Goswami quotes Narada Muni. This Narada Muni's definition of devotional service is that by engaging the senses in the service of the master of the senses, and by this we can get free from all of these material attachments. We can get free from the misidentification with the material body that is the root cause of all of this, the desire for sense gratification. So, yeah. So let's go to, go to another verse in 11th canto, 11:14:28. This is an inspiring verse. Okay, you want to read it, Dustin?
Therefore, one should reject all material possesses of elevation, which are like the mental creations of a dream, and should be completely absorbed, and should completely absorb one's mind in me. By constantly thinking of me, one becomes purified.
I think that's the wrong one. 11:14:28. Can you check what that number that is? Oh, really? Interesting. I think maybe I just noted down the wrong number. Hold on a second. It's, no, I have it here. 11:14:18. Yeah, 11:14:18. My mistake. Okay, go ahead.
My dear Uddhava, if my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he may be harassed by material desires, but because of his unflinching devotion for me, he will not be defeated by sense gratification.
So this is a very encouraging verse by Krishna.
Jai.
Because we're hearing about how just by being born in this material world, we have all these attachments and to material things. We are full of material desires. And Krishna is being very compassionate. He's saying that if my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he may still have material desires. He may still be harassed by these material desires. But because of his unflinching devotion for me, he will not be defeated. So Krishna here is giving us the hint how to be a hero. Because we're here in the material world, we have all these attachments, and the material energy is very strong, right? We can't overcome the material energy on our own. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, Daivi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. That this energy of mine, this material energy of mine, is very difficult to overcome. These three modes of material nature are very difficult for the living entity to overcome because it's Krishna's energy. We can't overcome Krishna's energy. But Krishna can overcome Krishna's energy very easily. He can very easily just like tell the illusory energy, all right, that's my devotee, leave him alone. Leave her alone. So if we take shelter of Krishna and we have unflinching devotion to Krishna, just serve Krishna in all circumstances, whether we're full of desires, whether we have no desires, whether we're desiring liberation, whatever the state of our mind is, just serve Krishna and don't be distracted from that by anything. And then, even though we may have material desires, we won't be defeated by them. So that's how to become a hero, because a hero is one who goes to battle but is not defeated, right? The one who emerges victorious. So Prabhupada would often say that when we become devotees, we're declaring war on Maya. So we're in a battle. This life in devotional service we're on a battlefield here. And we have to be spiritual warriors fighting against Maya. So I'll just read the first paragraph of this purport, the verse we just read. So it says, Abhibhuyate indicates falling down into the material world and being defeated by Maya. But even though one's senses are not fully controlled, one who has unflinching devotion for Lord Krishna does not run the risk of being separated from him. The words pragalbhaya bhaktya indicate a person who has great devotion for Lord Krishna and not one who desires to commit sinful activities and chant Hare Krishna to avoid the reaction. So we're talking about a sincere devotee here, not one who's like, yeah, I have this material desire, I'm going to fulfill it, and afterwards I'll just chant Hare Krishna and I'll be okay. It's not that person. It's the person who's like, I just want to serve Krishna. I wish I didn't have these material desires. Please, Krishna, save me from these desires. But sometimes they may be deviated or distracted by their desires. The purport continues. Because of previous bad habits and immaturity, even a sincere devotee may be harassed by lingering attraction to the bodily concept of life. But his unflinching devotion for Lord Krishna will act. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following two examples. A great warrior may be struck by the weapon of his enemy, but because of his courage and strength, he is not killed or defeated. He accepts the blow and goes on to victory. Similarly, one may contract a serious disease, but if he takes the proper medicine, he is quickly cured. So, in this battle, we may be struck by the weapon of the enemy. In other words, Maya may attack and may injure us. We may be come under the influence of Maya sometimes and do something foolish. But that we shouldn't. But a devotee won't be defeated. So even in our foolishness, if we continue to chant Hare Krishna and take shelter of Krishna, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, associate with devotees, pray to Radhikala Chanji and the devotees for help, then we are going to be fine. It says the unflinching devotion for Lord Krishna will act. It will act. And sometimes in battle, a soldier, if they're a real Kshatriya, then when they're injured, it actually increases their determination to fight, right? Maybe if you've ever been in a big fight with somebody, it's like you're angry and you want to, hit them or something. But it's not until they actually hit you that you really get, like, all right, now you you just like become like really like intense. When you're feeling the pain, then you really like pick it up to the next level of, aggression. So in the same way on a battlefield, when a soldier gets, shot by an arrow here and there, they're not killed, but they're hurt, then their enthusiasm to fight becomes greater. So whenever we get hit by Maya, we shouldn't just be like, oh, now I'm hopeless, now I can never be a devotee. We should be like, all right, now I'm going to increase my enthusiasm. I'm going to increase my determination to chant better rounds, to get better association, to really make it a habit to read or hear Prabhupada's books every day. And so that we can win this fight. Because it's a reminder that it's difficult. I still have material desires. I'm still influenced by Maya. I need to pick it up. I need to increase the intensity of my devotional service. So like this, we need to be spiritual warriors and keep ourselves strong and be determined, and also know that our strength comes from Krishna. It doesn't come from our, limited, tiny intelligence or physical strength or, anything else, but it comes from Krishna. So we need to constantly take shelter of Krishna, and that way we can be real heroes. We can be heroic in this world, and we can overcome our natural tendency towards sense gratification. And a hero means to not only save themselves, but to save others. Right? A true hero is one who also rescues others, who rushes into the burning building and saves the child who's caught in the, in the fire when the house is on fire, and brings them to safety. So people are suffering in the blazing forest fire of material life, of repeated birth and death, and we need to save ourselves and keep ourselves strong, and put on our, like the fireman puts on this jacket, flame-resistant jacket. So we need to, have our boots and our hats and our flame-resistant jackets, and which is, arming ourselves with sadhu sangha and the holy name and prasadam and transcendental knowledge, and go into the world and rescue others from the burning flames of this material existence. So like that, let us all try to be strong and be heroic. Okay, any questions on these points? Yes.
Thank you so much. Wonderful class. You must have prepared a long time for it. Just a couple points I had. Just in terms of like when Maya attacks us, my experience also has been, if Maya attacks me and she wins, because she'll be like, oh, you should enjoy your senses, you should. And then you just do it, and then you feel so crappy. You feel so bad that you're just like, no, I'm not doing this, and then you come back stronger, like you said too.
Yeah.
So, anyways. And I had a couple of technical questions. So it says here that...
that doesn't happen to everyone.
Doesn't happen to everyone. It happens to me anyways.
It happens to a sincere devotee.
Oh, okay.
Because someone else gets attracted to material desires, and they get into it, and they're like, hey, this is good. And then one desire leads to another desire, and then they get totally caught up. And that's how they fall down from Krishna consciousness, right? But if we're sincere, then even if we come under this way of Maya, then we'll get have realizations from that which will strengthen our determination. Krishna will help us. He'll protect us in that way.
I see it more like I've just been kicked so many times by Maya that now I'm just like, okay, I get it. All
Not
right.
this again. Yeah.
But I was wondering about, it says that Puranjana, or the girl says that Puranjana will live 100 years. So which yuga is this? Because it seems like it's Kali Yuga. If it's 100 years, wouldn't it be longer?
Prabhupada talks about in the which number is that?
I saw it a few times. No, I'm not there anymore. Like you will enjoy for 100 years.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that everyone lives for 100 years. It's just calculated differently.
Okay.
So Brahma lives 100 years of his lifespan, and everyone, even the insect that lives only 1 day, he lives 100 years of his lifespan. So sometimes it's explained like that everyone lives for 100 years. So the idea here is that Puranjana is she's inviting him to spend his whole lifetime in sense enjoyment.
I was also wondering, do you know what the name Puranjana means? Like there must be some kind of meaning.
Yeah, Puran means old, like ancient, like the Puranas, and Jana means person. So it just means the old person. And it's explained that this is referring to everyone. Puranjana is not just this allegorical king, but Puranjana is also us. Because as souls, we are also very old. In other words, we're eternal, but we've been in this material world since time immemorial. So we're, as living entities in this material world, this is, in other words, this is a very old story. Like this situation of being drawn into sense gratification and being, enjoying it for some time and then afterwards suffering the consequences. This is a very old story for each and every one of us. We've done this many lifetimes. And so we need to, this is not just Puranjana's story, but this is our story. So when we read this pastime of Puranjana, we should think, oh my God, this is me. This is what I've done with my life, lifetime after lifetime. Just like Maharaj Prachina Barhishat, and now it's time to change. I need to do it differently. I need to actually not be so foolish again in this lifetime.
Thank you so much.
Gokulananda Prabhu? One who enjoys in this body. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the Purana. That's the story of our sojourn in this material world, is trying to enjoy in this body, right? Yeah, but Purana means old. And Jana means a person. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, we can use the last minute or two to talk a little bit about Panihati. So today's the day of Panihati, and I think some of you are not familiar with this pastime. So this is a nice, very sweet, joyful pastime from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it's when Raghunath Das Goswami is first beginning to associate with Lord Nityananda first, and he's starting to realize that his household life, although it's full of opulence and all kinds of pleasures, and is like a prison, is like a place that he wants to get out of, and he wants to become a follower, a servant, dedicate his life to the service of Lord Chaitanya. So he leaves home and he goes to see Lord Nityananda. But he's feeling a little shy, so from a distance, he pays obeisances to Lord Nityananda. And so Lord Nityananda sees him and he immediately recognizes him as, an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya and somebody that he wants to bring back into the fold. He wants to bring back into the loving service of the Lord. So he notices him and he says, "Hey, you, thief." He calls him a thief. He says, "You come here just like a thief." Because usually like a thief, he doesn't come right to the front of, an assembly, but he stays in the background, just kind of like casing out the situation, like seeing who's got the money, seeing how he can, get in there and take someone's bag if it's unattended, right? So the thief stays in the background, just scoping out the situation, looking for opportunities. So he says, "You're just like a thief, and a thief should be punished. So come here, I'm going to give you your punishment." So sometimes Lord Nityananda, he's very comical like this. Lord Nityananda has a personality, he's very funny. So he says, "Come here, I'm going to punish you." So Raghunath Das Goswami, he comes forward, "Come closer." And Raghunath Das Goswami comes and he pays obeisances right in front of Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda kind of puts his foot right on his head like that. "I'm going to punish you." He like steps on his head. He doesn't step hard, but he firmly places his foot on his head. And he's like, so just like a criminal has to do some punishment to atone for to rectify his crime. So your punishment, your fine, is that you have to feed all of the Vaishnavas. You have to throw a huge festival and provide chipped rice mixed with yogurt, and chipped rice mixed with condensed milk and fruits and sugar, and make these preparations and feed all of the Vaishnavas. So Raghunath Das Goswami was very happy with this punishment, and he was from a very, very wealthy family. He had tons of money. So he went and he bought out all the flat rice, the chira, all the dahi, all the yogurt, condensed milk, and bananas. Those are the three, and sugar. Those were the main ingredients. And then he bought all these huge clay pots. So he filled the pots with yogurt, half with yogurt and half with condensed milk. And then he took the flat rice. So flat rice is like rice. It's kind of like, it's like, it is what to rice is that oatmeal is to like oat grains. It's like rolled and it's flat. And then you put that in liquid and it absorbs the liquid. So you put the flat rice in with the yogurt and it absorbs and it becomes like solid. And mix in the fruits and the sugar and it becomes like a nice tasty treat. So he made thousands and thousands of pots. He went to all the villages around and he just bought all the supplies, all the bananas, all the yogurt, all the flat rice, everything they had. He just bought them out. and then he made all this and invited all the associates of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda to come and eat. And then he personally served them. He gave them each 2 pots, one with yogurt and one with condensed milk. And they were sitting there eating. And so many people were coming that there was no place. He was serving them on the bank of the Ganga, in a place that's now called Panihati, that's near Mayapur. And it's between Mayapur and Kolkata. And so they're sitting there on the bank of the Ganga, a beautiful place underneath a shady tree, and they're all eating. And everybody's hearing about it. Oh, there's free prasadam distribution. They're all coming. And so many people are coming. There's no place to sit on the bank of the Ganga anymore. So they're some of them are sitting in the water. They're just sitting in the water and eating. So like that. And then Lord Nityananda is really happy. He's very pleased with the festival, how everybody's enjoying. And then Lord Chaitanya actually appears. And Lord Chaitanya appears in a very mystical way, and that not everybody can see him. Only those who are very qualified can see him. And Lord Nityananda personally feeds Lord Chaitanya chipped rice, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also feeds Lord Nityananda, and they're becoming ecstatic, feeding each other. And so Lord Nityananda is getting into ecstasy, but most of the people can't see Lord Chaitanya, so they're just like, what is happening with Nityananda? He's just doing this and dancing and jumping and smiling and falling down. What is going on? But some of them could see, and Raghunath Das Goswami was one who could see Lord Chaitanya, and he was thinking, wow, this is Lord Nityananda's mercy, that he has given me this service. He's engaged me in the service of the Vaishnavas and in the service of himself and in Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are just relishing, they're just enjoying this festival that by their grace I've been able to sponsor and organize and put on. So it's a very joyful festival that happened on this day. And so to celebrate this festival, devotees generally make this special preparation to offer to the Lord. Maybe you noticed that during the kirtan they were bringing out these clay pots. So in the clay pots there's chipped rice, flat rice called chira, or what else do they call it? Poha. It's also called poha, that they mix with yogurt and sugar. And so if we're lucky, we might be able to taste some of that at prasadam time, which is now. So yeah, so we can remember this festival while we take prasadam. And what's that? Panihati? No, it's in India. Yeah, I've been there. It's near Mayapur. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.